Wow, I didn't know you could do it from afar. I was afraid I was going to have to do it.
Are there any adjustments
Hi,
to the
Jenny.
agenda?
Okay. All things considered.
No, we'll move right along. Any public comment? Do we have any public there?
We do not.
Okay, moving right along. Let's see. We need to approve the minutes from June 10th and from, the special meeting also on June 10th. So, do we have a motion?
I have a comment about that. The special meeting, I forgot to put on the 3 board members from Rochester, so those aren't quite ready to be voted on yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back and add those.
Yeah. So can we start with the regular minutes? Do we have a motion to accept those?
So moved.
Okay, a second?
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So Julie, we'll come back to you on that? Or are you ready now?
I'll have them ready by next meeting.
Oh, by next meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
if that's okay.
No problem. Okay. Correspondence, any correspondence?
Not that I know of.
Okay, moving along. Let's see, it's hard for me to read the agenda on my phone.
Reports to the board.
Thank you.
Principal, 7.1.
Yeah, okay. Take it away, whichever principal is gonna go first.
I'll go first. I always go first. I hope you had a second to look at the great pictures in our principal's report from the summer. I would just highlight that we kicked off summer with a small team from the elementary school attending the BEST conference. We focused on planning our Wildcat time and the rollout of Positivity Project and character education for next year. We also, I highlighted in the report, all the PD our staff took this summer. We also have PD coming up. We have EL training because our curriculum has just arrived for grades 3 through 5. So that's coming up in a few weeks. And also math PD on fractional thinking. Mentor trainings are all done already. So our mentors are all trained up and ready to welcome our new hires. We had 35 students receive targeted summer tutoring in literacy and math this summer, which is wonderful. And I'm very thankful to the teachers that did that tutoring for us. And then just last week, the elementary leadership team met to plan master schedule, PD, safety drills, and more. If you didn't see the article in the Valley News about the summer meals that I know you heard about it in the last meeting, I highly recommend, and I'm just a lot of kudos to Misha and her team that put together all that food for our local children. We had a slight disaster in the Bethel chicken coop. A weasel won, and so we have a new brood of chickens coming up that will be here in time, or be growing up with the kids when they get back to school. So that was one unexpected thing that happened this summer. And then also One Planet served 119 students, and they've had a great summer with field trips, and this is the last week here in Royalton. Bethel finished the week before. And I think those are mostly, Chris Castle was hired for 5th grade at South Royalton, and Cody Doughton for grades 4 or 5 in Bethel, and Joe Bertoloni, which is so confusing because he's replacing Cassandra Bertolini, but he will be the new librarian in Bethel. And I think that is my quick and dirty summary.
Okay, continuing the theme Andrew pointed out, this summer has had a lot of collaborative planning. To date, my social emotional team has met. We've met with, under Michaela's guidance, with admin assistants to look at our attendance procedures. My leadership team has met to both discuss the new role per the contract, but also guide some pretty important decisions for the coming school year, specifically about what part of our professional development we most want to invest in, while we are also implementing EL as a curriculum in our ELA. We see an opportunity this year to, through the leadership team, our compact, our agreement is Our focus is not going to be pursuing the new thought bubbles, the wild new idea per se. We're going to be focusing very much this year on tightening up systems, predictable procedures. We are working on a procedures manual, so the things we talk about are actually in writing and at your fingertips. We have an opportunity with 5 new staff coming into the middle school to double down on our investment in the advisory program. What that looks like that's different than in the past is we won't be solely using a purchased curriculum. The source Character Strong is going to provide important themes, important materials, some of which are embedded in the SU's work around attendance. What we're doing instead, we've devoted more time back into our schedule to academics. So our full Fridays are now full academic days once again. With that slightly lesser time of extended advisory, we're looking at how to very directly and overtly tie the lesson of that extended advisory time to a lot of other pieces around the school. The community meeting we have once a month, the advisory slides that run every day, the basic expectations, and making sure that language is aligned with the language we're using when we go to process a student infraction or an issue at hand. We're pretty proud of what we've been able to produce this year. The we in this case, I have to point out and call some people out. Again, Michaela driving the work around attendance procedures and policy, really driving that work to the future. I very much appreciate Andra. She is dealing with a new position colleague and me, still relatively new to the district. What she's provided us this summer are some really hard nuts and bolts. Repeatable processes, clarity of communication, ways she's communicating out to her staff, various goals, planning, training, and that's been really informative. And I will say in an open forum, I have copied a lot of her work. It's been very helpful, and I feel like what that's driven isn't fire and forget kind of stuff we can set it aside. It's actually driven really tight conversations between Mr. Oakes, Ms. Bowen, and myself. So I'm very excited by all those facets. A lot of intentional planning, a lot of alignment and collaboration with my colleagues, and a lot of very detailed direct support and vision for where we're heading this coming school year as we carry off looking at some curricular pieces. Great hires, by the way. Again, I mentioned 5. Yes, one of them is shared, Mr. Bertoloni, not Berlini. But my new hires have already been on campus, setting up their classrooms, making sure they're aligning with their department colleagues, checking in with me to build a curricular arc. It's been a rewarding last few weeks.
It's been a busy summer at the high school for sure. We also started our summer off at Best with a small team, really focusing on some opening day in-services around teaming with around students with intensive needs, working on improving our instructional practices, universal expectations within the high school, ways to keep students engaged. We've also have had a lot of students, a lot of high school students engaging in summer recovery work, some students who have been out of school using this as a stepping stone back into the developing connections with staff, establishing school routines, and so that's been really successful. A lot of our work is coming up in the next couple weeks. Our leadership team will be meeting on the 12th, finalizing our in-service plans for the upcoming year. A big focus for us is going to be assessment, how we provide student feedback around their work. And that's going to go hand in hand with the ALMA, the Student Information System implementation that you heard about earlier in the wider board report. I've been working with the IT department and a few early adopters within the high school team to preview that and plan out what our in-service time will look like, anticipating needs so that transition goes smoothly. And we have one open position currently at the high school, the band director position is currently vacant, though we've interviewed a few applicants and anticipate moving folks forward for further consideration shortly. Hopefully we'll have that up and running for the start of the school year. So.
Nancy? You're not,
You're muted.
you're muted, girl.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hit it by accident. Okay, moving along, we've got policy.
I have a question about the principal's report, if that's okay, before we move on.
Sure.
I was just curious about, I'm very curious about the work to the barriers for attendance, and if there's anything that's been surprising to you that's a barrier that you didn't think of before, or like if you know yet from the community, like what is the biggest barrier to these?
I think my biggest barrier is the mind shift it's taking. Because doing something for 20 years in one way, and I get like we're supposed to be a more supportive stance. I just keep catching myself on that. Anyways, that's my own barrier. But I think we keep having really great conversations around it, and I think we're trying to work through it. I think just valuing that you have to be in school, right? It's just,
By the
yeah,
student or the parents or both?
all
or?
the above.
Yeah, okay.
Even teachers, right? Just not say like, not be dismissive of whatever's happening that day, right? You have to be here. It's
We're
all
trying to use
important.
the attendance data as a way to unpack what's behind that data point. So what are the things that are getting in the way of students attending school? Could be not just transportation, but it could be an academic gap, or it could be a mental health concern, or it could be just the relationship or with the family, lack of engagement. So we're having those conversations. We're using that data point to say, okay, so what's behind it? And that's been, the teams that we've worked with has been really eye-opening. So it's been a shift in thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I would just add, I think part of why I think this work's so important in regards to chronic absenteeism, I think the unintended consequence of the pandemic is that missing a couple of days became normalized,
Yes.
right? And so that now if something comes up, I mean, I see it in my household with a teenager, like, I don't really feel like going to school tomorrow, and I don't have any, there's nothing big. I'm like, no, you need to get to school. Like, I'm tired too. I'm dragging myself out tomorrow morning, right? Like, that's a life lesson and skill, and the learning that's going to happen tomorrow is important. I think in general, we've got to retrain ourselves, really as a society, like, it's important to be present and to show up. And I think that is part of what we're combating too, is some of those unintended consequences around if you missed a day or something, like it became normalized.
Well, that was where my granddaughter learned her procrastination skills, was during COVID, because it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't matter that nobody saw
College
what I did on the
students, too.
computer. And that's, unfortunately, that's a lesson that stuck.
For too many.
Yeah.
Okay, ready to move on? Sorry if you can hear the background noise. The grandchildren all returned to the house just now.
Uh-oh.
I'm hoping we'd be done with our meeting before they all came home. Anyway, so policy committee.
You want to go?
Sure. So yeah, we have, let me see, 4 policies in your packet. 3 of them, correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, but there really aren't any major changes here. They just circle
And they
back
were just
to
approved.
policy committee and are now
love 'em.
approved. So
So you do need district boards to take action too.
yes, so those 3 are the C9, the wellness policy, C20, the student conduct and discipline, and oh, sorry, did I skip one?
C22.
C22. I thought I had the bookmark.
That's the
Thank you,
athletics.
student athletics clubs and activities. So as I said, there are no major changes from the last time that these were presented. If there are any questions about those before we take action, I'm happy to entertain them at this time. Okay. Okay, great. And then 7.2.2, so that is policy C33, which we talked about. I'm not sure, I think everybody was here for most of the full board meeting discussion about this. Our board is aware of sort of how this kind of came about. So we were sort of one of the boards that sort of requested that the SU board took a look at this and crafted the draft of a policy. So, I personally believe it's pretty strong. As we talked about, this is a draft. We need input from all of the district boards, and that is welcomed not only from the other boards, but from this board. I'm happy to discuss now or email or, if anybody needs more time to really think about the things that were said. I think my personal stance on sort of some of what was discussed about equity and transportation and that sort of thing, I don't disagree that there is still a barrier that I don't believe that introduces more of an equity issue, but that is my opinion. And the reason I say that is because I think we're increasing. I think if you look at the net, we're looking at an increase in equity for our families. So that's my personal take on that topic. I'm happy to discuss with our board, or if anybody wants me to bring other concerns to the policy committee, I'm happy to do that as well.
I have a thought that I was sitting in the back during the discussion, it was a little hard to hear, but I don't know if anybody brought up the issue of when there are smaller sending towns that come to our middle school, that's a factor too. We want to keep those families in our district, and so the other ones don't have them, some have the middle school, but the high school. So if it helps to get them closer to our middle and high school, that's a benefit for the whole district, is to keep them in district. Does that make sense? That wasn't super articulate, but.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, again, it's really just from my standpoint. I think the overall benefit is large, and if there's items that we can make help make the other boards more comfortable, or with our board, if there are any concerns, I'd love to help make that happen.
And I'll just add, and I think we'll have to do some work on this. I mean, I think there's an assumption that families would want to pursue the larger school, but I actually think we have some families that would want to pursue a smaller school too, and see value in that. So I think the notion that it's going to be like one directional, I don't believe to be true.
Yeah, sure.
I think that there's going to be families that are going to pick all different schools throughout the SU for their own personal reasons. I don't think it's going to channel students one direction. I just don't.
Right. I mean, if you think about, my personal situation, which is not it's a hypothetical because of the fact that RUD, but I'm much closer to the Bethel Elementary School. If I were, I like to drive my kids to school, even if they can't take the bus. I just like that time. If that were my concern, which is a concern for a lot of people, they're right on the border and closer to the school in that other town. It only makes sense for that family. Or we're seeing where, a high schooler is already attending in South Royalton. Now I have an elementary school student, and I can't go to baseball. I just think the benefit is great. So,
I think this policy too, didn't say this in the earlier meeting, but I've talked to a couple families, people anxious about all the changes, who have, been talking about, well, maybe we'll do homeschooling. And part of, I think this policy would help counter against is you have an option besides homeschooling, which is you may, like in your situation, if you're someone that's closer to the school, or you have like the one we talked about, we dealt with, where the one child was in Bethel and one child was elsewhere, Rochester, I think. So I think it's a very useful policy.
For what it's worth, middle school, our experiences up to a half dozen over the summer or near the end of the school year are investigating us. I'm giving a school tour tomorrow. It is surprising to me how often residency comes up as a question because they live on a place like Gilead Brook Road, where that end is one town, this end is another. East Hill, that end's Brookfield, this end's. It comes up an awful lot,
I bet.
surprisingly, for what it's worth. This would be helpful in my mind.
But, I do take very seriously the transportation issue,
Right.
because those that can, have the ability to take their children to a different school, that's great. I want to take my child, but I can't. That sort of thing. even if I want to. I want the best for my child. I think that's where my child should go. But I'm not in a position to do that, per se.
Yeah, and
I
I
think
didn't mean to downplay that concern, because I
Yeah.
absolutely hear it. And we are introducing sort of that thought process, or we're introducing something that you don't have access to now. Or not you, but one does not have
Right.
access to now because of that. So I definitely recognize that. I'm looking at it more in terms of
The bigger picture.
the bigger, right? But also that situation exists currently anyways. That there are more barriers other than just the transportation,
Yeah.
but it's not a possibility, and you couldn't get the child there to begin with, right? So now at least there's a possibility. And I understand that that sounds kind of insensitive, and that's not really how I mean to say it. I just think if we can help some, I think that would be a net benefit.
Okay.
Well, thank you all. The one question I had about it, the sending school would still get the money for this kid, theoretically, right?
Correct.
And so they could afford probably to make arrangements for transportation in the event that a child, that was the only way they were gonna get there. I don't know. It seems to me that that could be part of the deal.
I mean, buses are quite expensive, so I would say that even your district, I mean, we send a lot of buses because we collect tuition students, but with the changes in the funding formula, some of our smaller districts, I would say that that's not an automatic.
Well, I wasn't thinking a bus. I was thinking, if it's one child. And then we're only going to accept up to 5 kids anyways. We're not talking,
No, I understand, but Suburbans cost us almost as much as a bus.
Oh, oh well.
People assume the smaller buses and Suburbans are cheaper, but so much of it's overhead. It's not the actual cost of the bus. The overhead being the employee.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, moving on to the other policies. Did we have any other things we needed to discuss on those?
Were there any questions or?
Okay, none? Okay, facilities.
You can move those now if you want.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's go ahead. Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
For
A
the,
second? Okay, all those in favor?
C9, 20, and 23.
Aye.
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 Okay, then they are back. Great. Facilities.
So I wanted to provide an update. Energy efficient investments met with the facility task force, which includes 2 of our board members in June. They're going to be meeting with us again in August with a much more detailed and fleshed out proposal in regards to scope of cost of us being able to pursue phase 2 project that would address our secured entrances, would address the work in regards to creating an improved performance space in our small gym, address the HVAC and dehumidification where we sit right now, and in our science labs, and address possibly being able to make the breezeway currently right now on this campus that we have to shut down every winter a year-round space. I think it would be really important if we were able to address the secured entrance, that we could actually lock down your facility at the high school entry wing of that hallway and in the main entrance to the you couldn't get to the elementary or high school, but what you could create is a public space people could access throughout the throughout the weekends and things, where you'd have access to that part of the building, but not access to the rest if we were able to address that breezeway. So they're going to try to figure out a plan and scope of costs for that. What it would not include is any extension off the building, expanding the footprint. So that means we wouldn't be looking at addressing in this proposal phase 2, the expansion of the shop or the expansion of the rehearsal space off the front of the school. So they're going to present that to us in the coming few weeks, and then we will give feedback, meaning the Facilities Task Force Committee. Did I forget anything? I think I hit it all. We'll give feedback, and then you'll get a proposal of that scope of work in September to offer your feedback to EI with the hopes of us possibly being able to dial in a plan by November to take action so that we could break ground next summer around that work. We believe we can do it in regards to that project based on money raised, in addition to the use of our capital funds, and possibly the leveraging, if needed, to make it all work financially and not drain our capital funds, the use of some performing contracting lease to be able to make it so that you as a board could take this on. And remember, we do have the bond of the gym coming off the books in 2 years, so that if we did decide we needed to do for some performance contracting lease, as provided by statute, remember it used to only be 10 years in statute. The miscellaneous ed bill now allows performance contracting to be up to 20. Not saying we would need to do that, but just know that the state did provide that in the miscellaneous ed bill this past session. And so that's where that's the direction the facility task force is taking. Certainly the board should give the facility task force members any feedback in regards if you're not liking the direction we're looking at right now. And I did expect a parent to join us, and they were supposed to be here by now. Are they here?
They are here.
Good, because I was worried they might be at the front door. Great. I was going to go check on them, so I was going to run away from you. But I am going to run away from you also just to check on other boards. But that's the update I had around the facilities.
Any questions for Jamie?
Hopefully not.
He's gone, so. Hey, we have a question.
Okay. Next on the agenda, Act 73 updates and next steps.
He left.
He left, yeah.
So
Maybe you should
at
switch.
the full board, he shared that he attended the first MAP committee on last Friday, we met with Lincoln tonight, so there'll be next steps around that process at the next SU board meeting. But there's no big next steps right now.
Okay, thanks, Michaela. Next would be discussion on community engagement report. I know that we keep tabling this every single month. What's your pleasure?
Did people have a chance to read it? And
Not for a while.
The first 7 pages is
That's
not
good.
a lot.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
it's
there
really
wasn't
only
much
one
in the
lot.
pages.
I say we just start today,
Okay,
and,
I've got it on my phone.
yeah, it's pretty short. It's pages 1
We're just going on to
and
page
2
Oh, is it in here?
are just table of contents, anyway, so.
If it's in here, I can look at it.
I can share, I know how.
Here, you want it virtually? I could go print it.
No, I've got it on my phone. I can look on my phone, but thank you.
I do not have my copy
Yeah.
in front of me, and I can only open so much on this device.
I'm gonna send it to the board. You should have it in your email.
Let's see.
There we go.
I mean, up through most of page 4, that's just fact finding at the
yeah.
beginning of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which page do you want to start on?
Page 4 really
I
is
do
the
have
first
it.
page.
Yeah.
You under,
Okay,
Andra.
Yep.
And we were just gonna do 4 through 6 tonight,
Yeah.
anyway.
okay, got it.
Okay, so it was the first 6 pages we were going to go over?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we were talking up to page 4, it's mostly just facts, who's on the committee, and blah, 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 blah. It really doesn't
Yeah.
start into anything till you bottom of page 4.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So who wants to take the lead on this?
I have some notes and just general questions. I don't know if it makes sense to go, I could tell you like what paragraph I was at and had a question on. Is that easy?
That
Okay.
sounds, that
do that.
sounds like a good way to go.
Okay, so on
That's
page
true.
4, excited and engaged staff. The part about the middle school, I had some questions on. One says, the students thought they were less positive about teachers passing excitement onto them. And I had a question, what, did the task force or the students give examples of what that might look like, what they're looking for versus what they're getting? Is there anyone here who was on?
I'm just trying to remember.
I was part of the task force, and as I recall, there were not exact examples of that.
Okay.
I don't think it was solicited really.
I thought it was more just comparing the like raw data of what the kids reported.
Okay. And then one thought I had about that is, the next sentence, students also indicated an interest in more hands-on learning and opportunities to move during class. But I wonder how much behaviors get in the way of that. You know, I'm a current teacher as well, and some classes it's really hard to do these things because of behavior, so I just wonder, you know, with the procedures, it sounds like things might be tightened up, but if teachers are needing support with behaviors in order to do some of these things that might be more risky or dangerous if you're doing hands-on things. So that was a question, or just a thought I had.
I can give you 2 off the cuff responses to that. Since that data set was collected, we have added more and more and more hands-on learning.
Oh, great.
And not just in makerspace opportunities. I can give you some examples where the concern is if there is a hands-on learning opportunity, but behaviors or management is getting in the way of being able to afford that. We kind of have, the group gets smaller and smaller as the risk gets higher and higher. I'll give you 2 examples, outdoor ed and shop. In both situations, you're using tools, power tools in one, bladed tools in another. Those are groups of 8. So whenever we have a higher risk for injury, there are fewer and fewer students in that class. Translating that to other situations, other environments, like mountain biking. We had a couple of injuries in mountain biking, so we had to increase supervision, decrease the numbers that were going out in a certain group. Those are some of the ways we've tried to continue pushing hands-on learning with the balance of it needs to be a manageable group. With all of our new teachers that are new to the profession, but in particular with our shop teacher, there's going to be some very direct guidance, support, mentoring, co-teaching, working with the management of the shop area. I choose that example because there are dangerous tools there. We've already accounted for smaller groups of students. The current shop teacher, Bob Pape, has done an amazing job making the space safer and more accessible. So we're trying to put all those factors into play. Those are specific to certain situations. But that's always a question we should be asking.
Thank you, Peter.
Yep.
Other questions, comments?
I have more questions. No one else
for
does? So on page 5, the second paragraph, it says, it was talking about concern expressed by some families and teachers that things aren't as innovative or engaging because they face outside barriers to doing so. And I don't know what that means. Is that money? Is that support from admin? What are the barriers to, and this is again related to like engaging kids in learning. I didn't know what outside barriers to doing so meant.
That jumped out at me too.
Yeah.
Didn't know.
Does Andrew or Nancy remember? I wasn't on the committee, so.
I'm trying to remember on that one. I suspect it was the funding part, and the time, both of those
Oh, time.
would be barriers.
I can also check in with our facilitator that helped do that work, Suzette Ballard, to just re-dig out the data that supported that part of the report.
That would be good.
Yeah, except I wonder if there was like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I didn't see it, but if there was like a comment space where specific
I think there was
examples.
part of the problem was people didn't always have to give comments. They could,
Right.
so sometimes it's just maybe their perception without
Yeah.
reason, right? So that's hard.
Okay. And then the fourth paragraph down is talking about the difficulty of a principal leading two schools. Has there been talk of two principals? One in each elementary school, or, and I don't know, like, in general in Vermont, the number of students, like, what's the common number of students to principal, but it seems kind of low in these two schools to share a principal, so has that been discussed in the past, or? Like hiring one for
You
each?
mean low or high to share two principals?
There are plenty of other schools that have way more students with a principal than,
Well, right. And
For
so
elementary,
we had
specific.
we had 4 principals, and when I arrived, we were running a pretty significant deficit, and we put a hiring freeze on. Is essentially what we did.
okay,
And we restructured the administrative structure. It also had become incredibly clear to me rather quickly on my listening tour when I first arrived that we had 2 different elementary schools, meaning like we weren't even using the same instructional tools and we were sending them to a unified middle school. And so it became clear that we just need to pull these schools together, right? Unite them. And after meeting with administration and teachers and discussing with the current board what the best approach to that was, we had decided we needed to merge the 2 elementaries together through leadership. So we went with 1 principal across 2 campuses. But I do think, part of why we engaged in this process is that I think the sustainability of 1 principal across 2 campuses is challenging. And one of the things that I think some of that data was trying to get at was there's some people that believe that we ought to have a unified elementary. I do think that that's part of what some of that data was about. I know that you certainly have staff that have advocated for that to me directly.
okay.
And part of why this engagement task force started is Peggy and frankly Chris Jarvis, who was on the board, had concerns about whether or not our current structure made the most sense for you as a district. And so that's part of why we engaged in the community engagement task force to try to elicit data from folks to see, is this the right model? So I think that is where some of that leadership piece came out. And I think it's going to be a worthwhile thing for the board to engage in is as we look to the future, if we're going to keep 2 distinct elementary schools, is the current administration structure we have, is it the optimum or not? Which Andrew and I have even had this conversation. I'm not saying anything to you I haven't said
Yeah.
to her.
Okay. I was just curious if that's being talked about or had been before I was on the board, so,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, there was, during COVID, it was probably one of the first things I recommended as a superintendent was we needed to change the administration structure. For one, we needed to place a hiring freeze because, it's probably good for the current board to know we were in such a place around cash flow, we were struggling to make payroll. Like we had to take out a line of credit.
Okay,
We're not like that now, right? We have surpluses
right,
and reserve funds, but we were in pretty dire straits.
yikes, okay.
To make the first payroll my first year, we had to take an emergency meeting to take out a line of credit.
Got it. Yeah,
Other questions, comments?
I have one from page 6, but if there's anything from there to here, I don't want to overrun anybody. It's actually just right at the bottom of page 6. It's something I circled on my paper copy. Much like the question about what were they responding to, there's actually, it even points out in the report that there may be a closer look at what they were considering when they were responding to the question. But this one that I'm talking about is in the chart there where I feel like I'm seen and valued as a member of my school. It seems like a very low percentage, but you read above that, they say that they felt overwhelmingly positive about the community basically, or that they're there in the community, that they're a part of it, but then that they don't feel individually seen or it's just an interesting look. But what stood out to me is a consideration of the fact that the highest number is the senior class. And I almost wonder if we would see, just anecdotally, the junior class number go up if we were to ask that question now that they're going to be more involved in the capstone project. Because they'll have so much, they're going to have a lot more interaction with an individual, well, with the 2 faculty members and then member of the community. Hopefully they'll have a sponsor, or I can't remember what the correct term is with that
Mentor.
program, but they're going to be starting to plan that their junior year. So I would be really interested to see that specifically. Those are happening around the same time that we were starting to, anyway. I just wanted to bring that up.
That was great insight.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, I just want to point out, last year in the middle school, we did administer the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. It's not just alcohol, tobacco, other drugs. There's a huge portion of it that is dedicated to those kinds of questions. Do I matter? Is there an adult that I can trust? Am I a part of my community? A lot of those things, when we get those results, supposedly in a couple of months, that might be pretty informative to you as well, because it teases out specific, like, semantic ways of asking that question.
Yeah, that would be really
Give you a
interesting
snapshot
compared
of
to sort of what we're seeing here, because
Sure.
really it declines through the middle school numbers here in this single instance. But the question sort of there is, yeah, if you drill down, are they just not really understanding what that means, right? They're seeing
Interesting.
as an individual there, well, you know, if you're, I'm sorry, 12, 11, 12, yes. You know, you're kind of thinking like, what the heck are you talking about? You know, so that would be really interesting to see it drilled down.
I thought those numbers were a little low. I wish
Right,
they were
yeah.
higher. They're all, I mean, I think they're all super low compared to where you'd want 90% of kids feeling like they're a valued member. So, also developmentally, like, I know that middle schoolers too, like, you know, they're more into their friends and their so it's also developmental too. But yeah, these were kind of a red flag with how low those numbers were, I thought.
Well, there's kind of a difference also between being a member of a group and seeing yourself as a valued member of the group.
That's true.
Yeah.
Those are two different things.
Like,
I know I'm a member of the school board, but I may not be a particularly
Yes, you are.
valuable member of the school board. Yeah.
Yes, you are.
So it's their perspective of their value within that community that they belong to.
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, next on the agenda is a board retreat planning.
How far can we?
I don't, what does that typically look like?
Well, it looks different for every board, frankly. It's one of the nice things about an SU. Doesn't look the same. I mean, some boards literally have dinner and just get to know each other, right? And they break bread. That's their retreat. Some boards say, I want to dig into like our community engagement plan and talk about what are our priorities going to be for the coming year. Some boards may say like, we want to do this phase 2 capital project. So we're going to do a board retreat that's just going to focus with EEI, and we're going to focus on that night and really dial that in, right? So it's really about what your priority is as a board in regards to how you want to go about your retreat planning. Typically, we set aside a really strong 3-hour block. We try to keep the agenda very limited to just 1 or 2 things. And we typically have a meal together, and we dig into just a couple things.
Are those, they're not public sessions, right? So they're not,
They are one public meeting.
They are, okay.
Yeah, we don't have to make it hybrid, but we have to audio record it.
okay. I was just curious, now that we'd be discussing, I was just wondering about topics and that sort of thing. You mentioned it, but I mean, I think a logical thing, given our timeline, the phase 2 stuff would certainly be a worthwhile investment. in my
I'm just
opinion.
throwing out things that you can.
No, I know, but it is a pretty massive thing that's coming up very short.
I agree. I would love to have the time to actually spend on discussing that.
We would want to have our, I don't want to call it a proposal, but our proposal from EEI, and sort of be able to wrap the committee's brain around it and then bring it.
Yeah, so if you wanted to try to plan a September retreat in addition to your board meeting, you could. That would allow your September board meeting to focus more on like business, right? And the facility stuff could be leveraged at your retreat.
What do you think?
September's filling up rather quickly
Yes.
on the board calendar with retreats and things. So if we are ready to do it, we should try to pick a night. I'd suggest.
Let's see, what else is happening in September? So we would normally meet on the 23rd, am I right? Is it the third
Correct.
Tuesday?
Wait a minute. Is there 5
Yes.
Tuesdays in September? So we would actually meet. We are scheduled to meet on the 16th,
Ah,
and the full board meeting would be on the 23rd.
okay. I've got, oh, it's Rosh Hashanah on the 23rd too. Okay.
Are there a certain night of the week that tends to work well for all of you? Or like is Tuesday something you like to try to stick with? Or are there other nights of the week?
The only night that doesn't work for me is Monday.
I can't do Thursdays.
What are
I
Wednesdays
can't
like
do
for
Thursday
you?
either. I can do Wednesday.
Yep.
I can do
Wednesday works for me.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
I'm not around on the 17th, but I am certainly around on the 10th and the 24th.
Let's do the 24th.
So we have
I think
open
the
house on the
24th would be
24th?
wise.
I do
make
too.
sure
Yeah.
we
You
have
have a conflict.
So we have open house on the 24th.
Hmm.
You
can't
do?
do the 20th?
We scheduled Bethel's
Yeah.
open house for the 24th. Which we can,
I could not hear that comment.
The open house for Bethel's on the 24th, although I do think we could excuse the principal. Like I don't know how the board feels about that, but
and we could just come after
Right.
if
you
you,
can come after.
We can't come to another meeting? Oh, no.
Well, it sounded like you did something scooping, which I was, is that the,
That's
no,
separate
that's
from
not
no,
the
Scoops.
scooping
Okay,
is before open house.
Okay.
Open houses, teachers have to come to.
okay.
So how does the 10th look?
You could do it.
Andrew wants another night out. She got herself another night out.
That's the
So we
night
said
before
we were gonna
Tunbridge
be
Fair.
discussing,
Night before that.
That would be
Um,
the night before Tunbridge Fair.
we were gonna be discussing at the October meeting the plan to move forward, right? Or we were gonna.
No,
we were gonna
I would
put
like
that
to
on-
introduce a plan on the 10th to the board. I mean, in
sorry, the
September.
10th
I'd
of
like to
September.
give you opportunity to talk about it at least for a month, if not 2. And we're gonna need to talk about it again in October with the public anyways before we take action in November.
But we're expecting EEI's report.
They've been working on it all summer. I don't think getting it in September is gonna be hard.
Okay.
Well,
Well, I'm just thinking the 10th is pretty early into the month.
No, it
You know,
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
no.
is.
My preference would be the 24th, but. And I'm fine with giving Andrea and Pierre the night off.
I can do the
Okay.
24th.
I can do the 24th.
Does everybody else want to do
Another
the
Shane.
24th?
Does that work? I mean,
Yeah, figure it out.
unless you really, I mean, we can let them, they can give us their feedback before.
Right.
No, that works for
Yeah, I
me.
can do it.
I'd rather do it later than earlier, frankly.
Yeah, I just think the 24th is wiser than the 4th,
Yeah.
than the 10th is what I was saying.
We
What
need
time do you all want to do it and where?
Babe's Bar. We can't do it at Babe's, I guess. Never mind.
We could do it
Um,
at Cockadoodle and then move over.
True, that would be good.
Yeah.
should we do it at the SU?
We can? Yeah, sure.
How does that sound to everybody? We meet halfway in between.
Groovy.
Sure.
All right.
We can go to
And
Babe's
starting
afterwards.
at, what, 6 o'clock?
I
Works for
can
me.
start earlier if everybody needs to. It's
I could do 5:30 or 5.
5:30 works for me.
5:30 is okay here.
Yeah, 5:30.
Groovy,
All right, 5:30 board retreat,
24th.
24th.
Thank you. And I assume there's no public comment,
Nope.
and are we done?
We have an executive session for a
And
student
yeah,
matter.
we do have an executive session that we still have to do.
Okay,
And
So the motion of that would be to enter an executive session for a student matter, inviting in Principal LaFlemme, our MTSS coordinator Michaela Martin, myself, and our parent guardian.
we need to boot the,
okay, so do we have that motion?
so moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So we need you, Ed, and Nancy will need to join a breakout session. Cal will invite you to that.
Looks like Eddie and I finished up
Almost,
I-
in second
We're almost
here.
there.
not quite. Whoops.
Hopefully we didn't lose Nancy, huh?
Nancy? Nancy?
Nancy.
Nancy,
Well, we have a
Nancy.
quorum,
We have a quorum.
and we have our,
There she is.
oh, there she
We
is.
got our
There
vice
she
chair.
is. Okay. I have no vices.
Do we have to move to
Okay,
leave
You
executive?
don't actually have to.
Okay, it gets me every time.
the result's the same, we're here.
Okay, we are reconvening at 9:30 PM. And do we have the parent back?
We do. And we are recording.
And I believe we are looking for a motion.
Okay, the motion is that we direct the superintendent to work with the concerned parent to exhaust all options within our supervisory union and report back to the board in September.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Okay, the motion has carried, and so Jamie will meet with Ashley and explore all of the possibilities here and let us know the result. Is there any other business? Then do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Good night, everybody. Thank you.